Hey everyone, welcome to today's installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs, and I want to thank you for joining me today because today is the 4-year review of the 2003 Pontiac Grand Am GT coupe on this very muggy and probably really stormy day that's about to probably happen as I'm filming this. Was having a really hard time finding a different place to film today because every place that I went to go film, people, so finally found another park to kind of film at today where no one's really out here, but it's probably going to start storming during the time of this video, so we're probably not going to be making this too long of a video today. To be quite honest, there really isn't a whole lot to really discuss as of real recent stuff. There's a few things here and there, but overall, this is just the yearly video where we look at what is happening to the Grand Am as it ages. And yes, it finally developed quite a few age spots over the last year. Really started showing up. So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right in, and let's take a look at my poor Grand Am. Now, I know some people have actually been wondering when the next Grand Am video was going to come out as far as like an update, and here it is. So yeah, for the most part it really still is in a really decent shape for the age. And especially around here, when you live in the Rust Belt, these things are complete trash by the time they, make it to this age, if they even make it to this age. I see a few here and there, but they are, a lot of them are in worse shape than this girl is right here. So she's actually been holding up fairly well over the last 4 years since I've had it. And of course, like I said, it's not perfect. The car wasn't perfect when I bought it. It'll never be perfect. But it is still actually, holding on, fairly well. And I'm actually still really, really impressed with this car overall, especially the fact that it was only $750 when I bought it. And what I've had to put into it really hasn't been too bad, not only to get it up and running, but just the maintenance and stuff, as time goes on, and that goes without saying. Yeah, it does still need quite a few things. I pretty much say that in every video that we make on this thing. But I mean, for the most part, it is still a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. And I'm still really, really glad that I decided to pick this one to, to live with. So let's take a look at the stuff that is, currently happening that, we may replace. Some of it we're going to have to replace. But this headlight here is looking pretty much just as bad as this one did before I replaced it a few years ago. So the new headlight actually is really holding up quite well. This one was replaced sometime around the time that I bought the car. The previous owner had it replaced, and you can see it looks like absolute trash now. So debating or not if I want to order another one from Rock Auto. The price of them actually went up, I think, since I purchased this one, and I think I bought that one in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this thing here, it drives me crazy, and I have tried to kind of polish it up, and obviously it just turns right back to that. Somebody told me to use bug spray with DEET in it because it appears to work. Well, the problem with that is the reason why the DEET would work is because it'll melt the plastic. So you're basically melting that entire coat off, if you happen to get the DEET on your paint or your, you know, the bumper or something, it's going to damage it also. So I really don't want to try that, even though, you know, there is damage. The paint's been cracking for quite some time. Obviously, somebody drove this into something before I bought it, and that's why it's all messed up. That's why the fender's messed up. But it's, you know, it is what it is. So as of right now, yeah, I'm considering getting another one at some point in the, you know, the future. I'm noticing that this fender here is, you know, kind of acting or looking a little wonky as far as the paint goes. Now, the car is not clean, obviously, and I'm sorry, but, you know, with the weather, there's really no point in getting it washed. But anyway, so yeah, this fender here, I'm seeing a lot of characteristics on this fender here that is starting to be very similar to that of my mom's old Malibu, the 04 Malibu Classic. And we replaced that fender on my mom's because it looked like somebody had destroyed the clear coat and the paint actually started coming off. But, you know, with this thing here, this is starting to kind of show the same signs. You know, there's been some of these weird scratch marks here for quite some time. But yeah, like the clear coat on this particular fender is starting to fade, and all the little weird rust spots have been showing up greatly. And that's, you know, like this is fading here, this paint here. This thing here is maybe getting slightly worse. Looked like somebody tried touching that up at one time a long time ago, but it's still there. But yeah, so I mean, this fender in general is starting to, you know, look a lot like the way my mom's Malibu fender did. And I'm wondering if it really is maybe a flaw with the manufacturing or the paint process when they, you know, were painting some of these cars. It's just a really weird thing. But yeah, like the little rust dots are, you know, that's exactly what my mom's was doing. And then there's some other weird white spots just kind of randomly showing up. So I don't know. I'm not doing anything about it. The fender's messed up as it is, and even if I wanted to replace this fender, there's really nothing for this fender to bolt onto. As you can see, it's completely rusted out from the bottom where the pinch welds are. So she is pretty much just hanging on by the long piece of trim rocker molding that goes all the way to the back of the car. It's really sad. The front tires are wearing down pretty drastically, actually. The passenger side front tire looks a little worse. I might do a rotate. The back tires are maybe a little bit better. They're a little bit better. The only reason why I'm afraid to do a rotate on this car is because I'm honestly just afraid to keep having to lift it up, especially in the back. The back of the car is, you know, a problem point with these, and the jacking point unfortunately is the suspension, and I'm always afraid I'm gonna end up going through the you know, the body of the car. This is starting to rust a little under here. Hasn't made its way to the outside yet. Like I said, we have some scratches and stuff that came with the car. And back here, for the most part, the only real blemish that has been developing over the last couple years is this mark here right next to the GT. So the rust has been bubbling underneath and it's kind of starting to poke through. But it hasn't really gotten too much worse than it was. This is the side that is starting to really show some age spots, and it's kind of sad because for the most part this entire side is actually the better side of the car. So she looks pretty good still for the most part. Over here there's a really deep scratch here with a dent that was always with this car when I bought it, and I think there's another one not far behind it somewhere. kind of trails on. Some of those scratches kind of faded as I was, you know, keep washing the car and stuff, so that's kind of cool. But over here, this is starting to get real bad really fast, and I remember mentioning this a long time ago, that the big rust area on these cars is usually around this here. So far mine's done pretty good with the actual gas door area, but we are starting to see a large amount of rust pop up, you know, in this area here. So this really started rapidly showing up over the last year, and yeah, like I said, unfortunately it's just gonna be there. We're not doing anything with it. It is what it is, you know. This has really started to fade quite a bit on this side. We did replace this, so I at some point a few years ago, we replaced the sills on this side and the other side because they were rusting like crazy, and that honestly was driving me crazy. So I found a couple of decent ones, not perfect, but I mean it's not rusting at least. So we did replace those, and this side over here is actually still looking pretty decent with the lower sill. But yeah, this passenger side sill has really started to show its age also. This tire, like I said, is wearing pretty badly. Yeah, so I am actually getting tire noise, and I've been saying it for a while that there's some suspension parts. I think we need some control arms. I think the bushings are worn, but yeah, I've been putting it off from the time that I bought the car, and that could be why the tires are being chewed up. Now, somebody also did replace the struts before I bought the car, so the car had newer struts when I bought it, and there's a chance that when they installed the struts, you know, they did not properly adjust or, you know, make sure that the camber was in place, or, you know, set to spec or close to spec or whatever. So I don't think on this you can adjust that unless you actually reposition the struts, have the struts loose and reposition them that way. So that's probably why, because I did do a full wheel alignment when I got these junkyard tires, which were in a lot better shape, obviously. But yeah, so the full wheel alignment, it is perfectly aligned in that aspect, and it still drives straight. It drives perfectly straight, but either the worn suspension parts or the fact that the struts were not properly you know, set up or aligned could have a part in the tire wear up here in the front. Is it a big deal? No, because honestly I could go to the junkyard and buy another set of front tires for like 50 bucks. So, which is probably what we're gonna end up doing if I don't want to, you know, do anything with the back tires. So yeah. Now the inside of the Grand Am is still pretty much, for the most part, not too bad. It is still getting a lot of sun damage from, you know, sitting outside. A couple years ago the center vent exploded probably from the tension of the you know, the dash curling, and as you can see it's really bad. You know, this whole thing here is coming up really good. So is this was way down there, you know, when I bought the car, and now it's way up here. So the sun is definitely, you know, taking its toll. Even in the center here, so you can see there's a gap here. This is starting to warp as well. And strangely enough, even down here, look at this. This is starting to be weird. So it must just be from the heat, you know, over time. But as far as, you know, everything functioning. We'll start it real quick. So everything for the most part still works inside this car perfectly fine. She's at 134,361 right now. Now we bought the car with 118,458 on the clock, and now it's 134,361. We went over the ABS issue in the last vlog, so that is something that we're still gonna really look into to confirm. You know, I was looking at that wiring when we were filming that, like when I was actually going through and editing the video, and that whole wire doesn't seem like it's in the correct spots. So I wonder if somebody replaced that hub at one time and did not route that wiring the right way, or put the hub upside down or something, because that doesn't seem right for that wire to be rubbing on top of the axle. You know what I mean? So that could be the problem area. I don't know. We really have to make a time to dig down in there for real and see what is going on. But that is the problem area, apparently. So like I said, everything in here still works. The eBay radio, which has been in here for what, 2 years now, the clock, when it gets hot, when the display gets hot, the clock goes away, but the track listing still stays down there. I don't know why. It is what it is, but the radio overall still works pretty well, so I'm happy with it. The air conditioning is still functioning after 3 years. We charged it up, and surprisingly enough, it still works. It still blows ice cold. So there's that. Nothing else has really changed down here. I'd still really like to give the seats a nice real cleaning, but I don't know. We have the water on the floor. We had a torrential rain early this morning, so just from how the car was sitting, it did pond some. This has actually been pretty decent lately. I'm actually surprised that it did that, because for a while the sunroof was not leaking, and the sunroof isn't leaking. It's something in the passage in the pillar where the drain is. That's where the problem is, because I have cleaned the drain numerous times. There's got to be something down there, and I can't get to it. I don't even know how you get to the drain, but I think that's the problem area. The only thing that doesn't work in here is the horn. That is because this membrane, I think, is sticking, and I had to pull the fuse because one day the horn just kind of was going off, and I think this was where the problem was. So no horn. I should fix that probably. Probably my favorite part of this car is the 3400 V6 with the ram air. That really doesn't do anything, but it just looks cool. But in all honesty, this is one of my all-time favorite engines ever. This is what, my fourth 3400 engine, and it's pretty much bulletproof. You know, this, I honestly didn't think this car was gonna make it, but she is doing great after the after bringing her back to life. So yeah, the reason why the car was so cheap is because of the fact that this thing had blown intake gaskets, and the lady who had the car was actually still driving it in the really bad condition that it was in. The engine, when I drained it out the first time before rebuilding it, the engine had so much chocolate milk in it, it was disgusting. It actually had double the amount of oil capacity. So this, I can't even believe that this thing was still running as good as it was, really, with all of that horrible stuff in it. And the fact that it had a bad lifter, it was, I think, one of the number 5 cylinders. One of the lifters for number 5 was stuck. And we cleaned out the lifters. Hey, the sun's coming out. We cleaned out the lifters, and even after the first startup, there was still a tick that was there. But as I let the engine run after its first start, I just let it run, you know, to get it to temperature and stuff. It started quieting down, and to this day, that lifter is not making any noise at all. So she is still in really great shape, you know, and it still looks good. We painted it. The paint is coming off here for some reason, but that's okay. Other than that, like I said, it is still a pretty nice looking 3400. It still runs great, still drives great. We have gotten to the point now where we are leaving some pretty decent amounts of oil on the ground. So I think it is either the crankshaft seal, or it could be the actual the rear main seal. That's what I was trying to come up with. So it could be one of those. It's hard to tell. Also, the transmission pan is slightly leaking. It does not leak all the time, which is weird, but it is slightly leaking. We do have to, again, I say it all the time, we do eventually have to do transmission lines to this thing. So if I do the transmission lines, we're going to do the transmission pan also. Guys, the only reason I have been putting that off is because I don't want to tamper with the fluid. The transmission fluid in this thing, who knows if it's ever been done. It actually looks pretty clean, so it probably has been done before, but the transmission still shifts great, and I really don't want to jinx it. So I don't know, but eventually that stuff is going to have to be done if we continue to drive this thing. And what else? Like I said, the AC still works, even though the AC still chatters. We did water pump and stuff. I'm gonna read off the list of all of the stuff that we did replace here in a little bit, real fast. But yeah, so other than that, it is still a very strong engine. I'm still very proud of this engine. And I guess for now, I'm just gonna keep driving the snot out of it until she decides to give up. Alright, so as we all know, the 2003 Pontiac Grand Am GT coupe in this specific color with this specific option package. And fun fact, there's only one of 5 of this exact Grand Am that was ever built with this color, with the specs, the option packages on the inside, the sunroof, all that stuff. There is only, according to the VIN and the stats, there's only 4 other ones out there possibly like this one. I doubt it. So this could be the only one left, but when it was built brand new, there was only 5 that were the exact same spec as this. 1 of 5 right here. So I paid $750 for the car. We did trailer rental, which was $58. We replaced the turn signal and hazard switch in the dash. That actually came with the car. The left fog light assembly down here, which also came with the car. So we replaced that. We had to replace the front bumper reinforcer. I'm just gonna give the price, 20 bucks. We'll just make it quick. So behind the bumper is a bumper reinforcer. We had to pay 20 bucks for one of those at the junkyard. I had to replace the horn and the wiring also. 4 bucks from the junkyard. Bought a Monsoon CD player to replace the one in there. It's not the same one in there now, but we had one in there earlier. $25 for that. The stereo wiring harness that I had to rewire into the dash harness because somebody completely messed up that situation at some point. 3 bucks for that. I had to replace the sunroof assembly because the old sunroof would not close. It was jammed up. $38 at the junkyard for that. Had to buy 3 relays, a coolant bypass tube, and a rear exhaust shield for the engine while we were rebuilding it. All that together was $12. The Felpro head gasket kit was $140. The Felpro head bolts, $22. The oil pump drive O-ring that I decided to replace was $2 from the Chevy dealership. Thermostat was $7. Bought some new spark plug wires, some Duralast Gold I think is what they were. $30 for the wires. 4 gently used 225/50/16s. Those are the tires. Paid $120 for those tires at the junkyard. Had to replace the cruise control buttons on the steering wheel, $7. The driver's side window regulator clips and the epoxy, which has failed me greatly actually, but at the time $40 to replace those. The wind is ruining my paper, sorry. Replaced the fuel pressure regulator. Actually that was free. That was given to me off of an engine from the school at the time. Also had to replace the vacuum line for the HVAC controls going to the engine. That was also free. We had to fix the turn signal switch on the steering column. That just took some Vaseline really, so that was free. And then the CD player that's in there now, a refurbished Monsoon CD and cassette stereo system with working backlight display. It was $70 on eBay plus $22 shipping. I think that shipping was my only option. So what else? We did a passenger side headlamp. That was $33. The front brake pads and front rotors altogether $160. We had to replace this front passenger side brake caliper also. That was another $40. Had to buy a used AC Delco battery. It was $42 from the junkyard. The driver's rear tail lamp assembly with the circuit panel. We replaced it because water was getting into it. That was $21. Then we did rear brake pads and rear rotors. Again, that was about $160 to do the rear brakes. We had to replace some evap tubing under the hood. We had an evap leak, so that was $15 from the parts store. The front driver's side headlamp bulb, for some reason, was $13. Not depends on where I got it. I probably got it at work, so it's probably cheaper. We did a water pump. We did 2 gallons of coolant, a serpentine belt, and the gasket for the water pump. All of that was $90. We did a starter not too long after that. She left me stranded at the gas station. So we needed a starter. That was $126 right there. We did a new driver's, not new, but we did a driver's window regulator because the other one broke. And of course the outside sashes, as I'd mentioned. All of that together was $30 from the junkyard. We did replace the driver's interior door trim because I took that door trim off too many times. Finally broke it during that last repair there. And had to get another one from the junkyard for $16. And the last thing I replaced on this thing was the passenger's rear tail lamp circuit board. Not the whole lens assembly this time, just the circuit board. That was $7 from the junkyard. So there we go. I did not add up the total yet. Give me a second. Alright, so over the last 4 years of ownership, I spent $2,123 on this car, and that is including the price of the car and the trailer rental as well. Now if I got rid of the price of the car and the trailer in parts, $1,315 on a $750 car over the course of 4 years. Not terrible, really not too terrible. I'll never get that money back, obviously. This car is probably not worth the amount of money that I put into it, unfortunately. But nonetheless, you know, it is, you know, it's not like I spent, you know, thousands of dollars buying the car and then the, you know, thousands of dollars to fix it up. I'm perfectly okay with, you know, putting what I have put into this thing so far. And, you know, I am getting to the point now where, depending on what the issues are, you know, do I want to continue to put a lot of money into it? We needed an O2 sensor, which was something that was covered in a recent vlog, so we haven't done that yet. We're obviously going to need probably this wheel hub replaced, because that's our speed sensor issue. You know, so now it's like, you know, do I actually want to put that into this, or should I just keep driving it the way that it is? So stuff for me to think about. But at the same time, like I said, I don't want to just let this car die, you know? I absolutely love this car, and I've said it many times, the thing that's going to kill it is the rust. You know, underneath the body of this car, we are losing support, and the big problem is usually right around here where these lower control arms go into the body, and that can fail at any time. But I mean, for the most part, the rest of the car, the actual like frame portion, the unibody portion really isn't bad. But if the rust eats away at where those control arms go, that's usually the death. That's usually the death of the car, and hopefully not the death of the driver. That's it. She's been great, and like I said, no regrets. I still love driving this car. I really haven't driven it as much as I was for a while, but for the most part, yeah, I really love this car, and she's been really good. She's been really, really good to me. I actually still have a hard time believing that this thing has really held up as good as it has for a $750 car. And she's had a rough life before me. She was passed around from auction to auction to auction. I think the Carfax said that she started off as a lease, if I'm not mistaken, in her brand new life. But from there, she just kind of got passed around, and then somebody decided to put aftermarket stuff into it that ruined a lot of the electrical integrity, and then I came in and I restored all of it to the original, got rid of all the aftermarket wiring, and but she's mine, and I'm so happy with her. That's it. This is starting to look a little iffy again, so I think we're gonna wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed this, thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Share some love for the 03 Pontiac Grand Am GT coupe. 1 of 5. Probably not. This is probably the only one left exactly like this. Who knows? But that's it. So thanks again for watching, guys. I will see you next time, and in the meantime, take care.